You think your emotions respond to life. They don't. They respond to what you want from it. Watch how quickly your inner state shifts. A message appears. A message doesn't. Someone acknowledges you. Someone overlooks you. Your calm rises and collapses without resistance. That is not emotional depth. That is a loss of command. Most people misdiagnose the problem. They blame anger, anxiety, insecurity, or stress. Those are surface reactions. They are never the source. The source is quieter and far more controlling. You are emotionally invested in outcomes you do not own, and the moment you invest, you surrender leverage. Desire rarely announces itself as weakness. It dresses as ambition, expectation, hope, or fairness. But internally, it makes a demand. This must happen. This should not fail. This should not be happening to me. The instant that demand forms, your mind becomes conditional. Peace now depends on cooperation. Calm now requires permission. That is where freedom ends. Notice the pattern behind every disturbance. You wanted reality to adjust. It didn't. Someone respected you or didn't. Someone replied or stayed silent. Your effort paid off or disappeared unnoticed. The emotional impact never comes from the event itself. It comes from the insistence that the event owed you something. That insistence creates tension. Tension creates reaction. Reaction creates regret. Nothing external changed in meaning. Only your attachment revealed itself. When desire tightens its grip, neutrality disappears. Every interaction becomes a test. Every delay feels personal. Every obstacle feels unfair. You stop observing life. You start negotiating with it. And life does not negotiate. Here is the uncomfortable truth. The world is not stealing your peace. You are trading it for outcomes. This trade happens automatically for most people. They never examine it. They assume emotional turbulence is normal. They call it temperament. But watch the structure closely. Stronger desire produces stronger reaction. Stronger reaction produces weaker inner position. You believe you want success, respect, certainty, or recognition. What you are really seeking is relief. Relief from the discomfort of not getting what you want. That relief is brief, because desire regenerates faster than satisfaction. So the cycle repeats: want, react, recover, want again. Over time, your nervous system learns a dangerous rule. Peace is conditional, stability is temporary, control exists outside you, yet you already sense something is wrong. You feel it after you calm down and think, why did that affect me so deeply? Why did I give that moment authority over me? That question matters, because it points to what most people never confront. If desire governs your reactions, then emotional freedom does not begin with control or suppression. It begins with understanding the force that commands you. That force is subtle. It operates automatically, and once seen clearly, it loses its disguise. In the next phase, we will examine how desire turns into emotional dependence and why the mind obeys it without protest. Desire does not overpower you. It recruits you. The mind enters a silent agreement. If this happens, I am at ease. If it doesn't, I am disturbed. Once this agreement is accepted, reaction becomes automatic. Desire gives birth to expectation. Expectation hardens into requirement. Requirement creates exposure. You are no longer positioned within yourself. You are positioned after events. Here is the mechanism most people miss. The mind assigns emotional weight to outcomes. Then it waits. Waiting is not passive. Waiting is vulnerability. While you wait, your inner state is suspended. A message can lift it. Silence can destabilize it. A delay can irritate it. This is dependence in its pure form. Dependence means your stability lives elsewhere, in another person's response, in timing, in circumstances you do not command. The mind tolerates this because desire promises relief. Get what you want, and the tension dissolves. Briefly, but relief is not resolution. It is only interruption. As soon as one desire is met, another replaces it, refined, expanded, more demanding. This is why reactions feel involuntary. They are not decisions, they are responses to unmet conditions. The mind does not ask, "Is this worth my peace?" It asks, "Did reality comply?" When the answer is no, emotion answers for you. Anger is resistance to denial. Anxiety is anticipation of loss. Jealousy is comparison powered by want. Frustration is reality refusing instruction. Different labels, same origin. The issue is not emotional strength, it is attachment. Attachment narrows perception. You stop seeing what is occurring. You fixate on what should have occurred. That distance between what is and what was expected is where disturbance forms. Most people try to manage the reaction. They distract themselves, they breathe through it, they justify it. None of this reaches the source, because the source sits earlier. As long as desire sets conditions, emotion will enforce them. This is why discipline feels exhausting. You attempt to restrain the output while feeding the input. Understand this without resistance. A demanding mind cannot be settled. Demand creates tension. Tension seeks discharge. Discharge appears as reaction. This loop repeats quietly until something erodes. Patience, clarity, self-respect. Yet the loop continues because the agreement remains unexamined. That agreement can be seen clearly, but only when desire stops being treated as innocent. In the next phase, we will step outside the agreement itself and separate identity from what the mind wants. The shift begins with distance. Not distance from life, distance from what you want from it. Most people experience desire as identity. I want, I need, I care. Because of this, when desire is blocked, the self feels threatened. This is the error. Desire is an internal signal. It is not who you are. It is not a command. It is not an obligation. It is a movement that appears in the mind. When there is no separation, every desire feels personal. Every obstacle feels invasive. Every refusal feels like rejection. Look carefully. You existed before the desire arose, and you remain when it dissolves. This alone reveals the truth. Desire passes. You do not. The moment this is seen, a new position becomes available. You stop standing inside the desire. You stand beside it. From there, the inner dialogue changes. The mind no longer asks, "How do I satisfy this?" It asks, "Do I need to obey this?" That single question creates space, and space ends compulsion. Without separation, the mind collapses into urgency. With separation, the mind regains range. This is not withdrawal from life. It is withdrawal from demand. You still act, you still pursue, but action is no longer tied to inner peace. Outcomes stop determining your state. They register, then pass. This is why emotional reactions weaken, not because you suppress them, but because they lose authority. When desire is recognized as an object, it can no longer issue orders. You begin to notice something precise. The intensity was never in the situation. It was in identification with wanting. As identification loosens, the nervous system settles naturally. Calm stops being something you earn. It becomes something you preserve. This is the shift most people never make. They attempt to manage emotion directly. You remove the source of its pressure. Nothing outside you must change. No person must adjust. No outcome must improve. Only clarity is required. Clarity that you are the observer of desire, not its voice. This is not indifference, it is inner authority. And inner authority is quiet. In the next phase, we will apply this separation to real moments and convert awareness into controlled response. Separation only matters under pressure. In calm moments, control is assumed. Friction reveals the truth. A message goes unanswered. A plan is interrupted. Someone speaks carelessly. An expectation collapses. Reaction follows not because the event is strong, but because desire is active. Application begins with detection. At the first sign of tension, notice what the mind is requesting: validation, response, control, certainty. Do not resist the desire. Do not satisfy it. Name it. There is wanting here. There is expectation here. That naming creates distance. Once distance exists, pause briefly, not to suppress emotion, to let the demand weaken. Desire feeds on urgency. Remove urgency, and it loses force. You remain present. You remain attentive, but you stop serving the internal demand. This creates a narrow opening. That opening is leverage. Inside it, posture replaces impulse. Calm, neutral, unmoved. You are no longer asking, "What should I say or do?" You are observing whether action is required at all. Most reactions are not necessary. They exist to escape discomfort. When the need for escape dissolves, so does the reaction. Action, when it occurs, is deliberate, minimal, unaffected. This is not withdrawal. It is restraint without effort. As demand loosens, the body responds. Breath steadies. Muscles release. The urge to justify or defend fades. Nothing dramatic happens. That is the signal. You are not imposing discipline. You are removing interference. With repetition, the pattern weakens. Desire still appears, but it no longer governs. Reaction still arises, but it no longer spreads. This is emotional control in practice, not achieved through force, but through sustained clarity under pressure. In the final phase, we will integrate this stance into identity and close the gap between understanding and consistency. At this point, discipline must settle as a way of operating, not as effort, not as pressure, as structure. You are no longer someone who tries to be consistent. You are someone who is consistent. Action happens without negotiation, not because it is easy, because it is established. Discomfort still appears, fatigue still appears, neither is consulted. This is not harshness, it is clarity. Peace no longer depends on outcomes. It is not negotiated through people. It is not delayed by circumstance. You act without urgency. You respond without pressure. You remain present without attachment. Over time, this stance stabilizes the system. The body learns that calm is not conditional. Reaction becomes optional. This is how emotional slavery ends, not by eliminating desire, by removing its command. If this perspective clarified a pattern you have lived inside, acknowledge that clarity. If you notice desire sooner than before, that is real progress. And if this training has value for you, signal it. Stay with the work, because understanding desire is only the first step. In the next video, we move from awareness to action, why discipline beats motivation every time, and how Stoics trained consistency even when they felt nothing at all. Continue with the next video in this series.